Odysseus and the Adventures of Odysseus. I forget what the name of all of them are, but anyway, so um, we uh, but Braden loves the tales that you have. It's basically the uh, the story of Odysseus, the adventures of Odysseus, and so we I've watched them before, but I don't think that that's good that we watched those because or any that would make us think. Whenever I was very careful whenever that we did day camps in during after Katrina down in Jackson County. Um, was that Alabama or Louisiana? And so down there we did do day camps, and whenever I tell the stories I would say this is a truth, this is a biblical truth, and I wouldn't call it a story because many will, because we've been brought up and saw all of these mythology, it's easy for people to think, well, that's just mythology, that's there's no difference between the Bible and that, so that's dangerous. And so maybe we should not allow our children, maybe I was wrong in allowing him to watch those. Then there is the endless genealogies. I remember my grandmother was really into genealogy. So was my sister. If you're watching it, sorry for getting on you. She's kind of picked up where my grandma left off. Well, she got on to, there's websites you can go on, trace our genealogy, and find some interesting things, uh, where you came from, and all that kind of stuff. Um, and she did her DNA, to and me, where are we, or I don't know whatever it's called. Obviously, I don't partake in any of this because I realize that it's kind of a waste of our time where we could be spending in the Word of God, is what he's saying here. Is see the genealogies were kept in the temple of everybody. You could go to the temple and trace back your genealogy and find where you came from because you needed to know what tribe you were in. And so that's why it was very easy for Matthew and Luke to put Jesus genealogies in the beginning of their book. They just went to the temple and wrote down what they saw. One is Mary's and one went through Joseph, though, is the difference. And so um, he actually gets the throne through Mary, but well, no, I forget which one. I think it's Joseph. He actually gets the throne through, but anyway, um, the other line was both can be traced back to David, but one line was no man was ever to sit on the throne that was from that line. I'm thinking it's Joseph, but anyway, never to mind that. But that's the problem with endless genealogies. It. I think that might have been because her grandfather was a pastor at White Oak, and so we kind of feel good when we think about that. What can we find in our genealogy of some great person that's there? But really, we stand on our own tub bottom. It doesn't matter who we came from. We were talking about that. It was, she came from the Wilsons, and the Balls were kind of outlaws from Burton down. And we were talking about that with my wife. We observed the Shepherd reunion, and the Burnses are kind of outlaws. No, I think Cecil would admit that he was an outlaw at one point. And so you have that because you came from a certain people, that's who you are. But the Burnses, have Uncle Cecil and Mark, who are preachers that came out of the outlaws. And so you have that doesn't really hold true. You stand on your own tub bottom, and that's why genealogies are not important to, at least to me. I feel like they're a waste of time. That time can be